Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap. My name is Pixelriffs. Our writeress, LaudividniYT, captions on this video were provided by Liara, and the mayhem has officially mounted. Minecraft's latest update has arrived on the Hermitcraft server, which presumably means Joel Smallish Beans will have to deal with a lot of zombie horses, because, you know, karma. We're only slightly disappointed that this update comes too late for Azuma to choose the Nautilus as the inspiration for his player skin this season, because everyone looks good in stripes. And considering the fun everyone's had with maces since the Tricky Trials update, we're looking forward to the momentum building for the spear now it's here. Considering it basically lets you air dash, we might finally have a competitor for the parkour tech of, let me check my notes here, breeding a really good donkey. It's still early days of course, and before they can craft advanced features like a spear, most of the server is still catching up to their preferred level of technology. Beating the dragon, owning 11 beacons, decontaminating anyone who enters your base from the outside world, you know, the usual. So let's skewer each of these unsuspecting hermits as we take a look at the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week.
So, first of all though, of course, we need to talk about the amazings of the week.
Starting with Doc M77, who pauses his mission of tormenting his server mates and goes back to inflicting pain on Minecraft features instead.
That's the interesting bit about Minecraft, I guess, and also the interesting bit about technical Minecraft. There's new metas popping up and new things, and it's always interesting to dab.
Now that more game mechanics can occur in chunks that are just loaded, regardless of whether a player is nearby to witness the crops growing, Doc sets out to make a single chunk as productive as possible. It's got a seafloor kelp farm, bamboo and sugarcane, all harvested by slime block sweepers. Below the surface is an amethyst geode farm on a very long timer, and above is a combination iron farm and snow golem torture device. Those last two things might seem unrelated, but the TNT is also damaging the iron golems, and those snowballs are being used to jump scare the villagers, so it's surprisingly codependent. But since it's Doc and he's made a character out of being petty at this point, he throws in a resource pack that gives the snow golem good times with Scar's face when you shear off the pumpkin. Once the Mounts of Mayhem drop arrives, he crafts a spear, tracks down a zombie horseman, and has a close encounter with a camel husk and its undead riders. He also kills the first two Nautili he finds, officially making him the Smallish Beans of the Sea. Joel Smallish Beans of the rest of things, in the meantime, keeps digging this hole. Mostly referring to him adding a basement to his basement, but yes, the horse murder also continues.
One sec, sorry, gotta sneeze, guys, gotta chew. Oops. Oh my gosh, that was,
As he promised last time, he keeps the animals at his farm and even renames them to viewer-suggested assorted adjectives. Those just may not be the same animals from the last time, because a whole bunch of them were moved to the new, deeper basement, and the rest didn't survive the drop.
This is its house, and it will be its house until I can be bothered to build it something different.
The new layer of the ever-descending house is some sort of lab where Joel keeps animal heads floating in jars, and also sheep floating in wool farms. Still, his overall, let's say, descent is illustrated best by him having a very normal time building this one custom tree.
I'm not going crazy, you're not going crazy, I'm not going crazy, we're not going crazy, we're going to make a tree together. Let's go build this tree together now, and then we'll build this tree together. Let's go build this tree together now, and we're going to build it right now.
Comparatively, Hypnotized remains completely unaffected by the horrors he inflicts on the villager kind. And admittedly, he is the one inflicting, so why wouldn't he?
Who can go around and collect these potatoes. So this is looking pretty good. This is kind of what I had envisioned here.
The biggest development of the stone level holding facility, codenamed Trading Hall, is that Hypno has realized that his prisoners can also be used for free labor, which is why he delegates crop farming onto the less fortunate of the testificates, as the more fortunate of them are forced to watch. Cubfan135, meanwhile, makes it a point to employ both types of the metal golems and builds a small iron farm to match his new sorting system. They both sound great, if you were wondering.
A little bit concerned about the noise. It does make some noise. You can hear them, the golems clanking away, checking all the chests. Let's just get out a few items here. We'll get the same items we have.
Well, following his reckless disregard for clearing any of the cherry blossom forest he decided to live in, Cub also makes sure the storage room actually feels like a place you may want to spend any time in. Trying to remember where you put your things, presumably. So he uses assorted foliage for the roof material of the room, successfully creating the look of a ceiling that's shedding. Azumavoid goes one step further and begins selling golem statues, which is only half as alarming as it should be, until you realise that he himself is already on the second to last stage of oxidation and might join his immovable brethren on, say, Corrales' rooftop.
I've aged once again, and I think the next phase of oxidization is going to be my favorite.
On the upside, they might accidentally pay extra for his statue specifically, given that he labelled the price as Diamond, number 4, Golem, and that gets immediately misinterpreted as 4 diamonds per golem by XP Crafted. Good thing Rendog enchanted him with improved thinking then.
Careful,
Okay.
Azuma, there's an abyssal spell coming at you. It looks like a spell of dismember. I shall counter the spell with my counter spell.
No, don't count the spell. Dismembering is actually another reason I came over here.
XP Crafted is otherwise developing a reputation for being very observant, and not just because his helmet is retextured to be the ever-watchful redstone component. He correctly identifies Corrales' quote-unquote trap gift as a dud because he's seen enough TNT to tell the border pixels apart from red concrete. And he's noticed a nether fortress that's valuable enough for Impulse SV to gift him a season's worth of shulker shells. But if Azuma's golem god wasn't enough, XP Crafted has built another statue rendering the copper golem in a much more relaxed state.
Look at him. He's so cute. He's a cutie patootie.
The first sacrifice at this new altar of cuteness is his house, which he burns down purely because the server allows it now, and it gives him and Corrales something to toast marshmallows on. Corrales, by the way, seems to have cracked the code and bypassed both YouTube and Twitch by just watching XP Crafted in person. Where the ashen remains of the starter house were, a kind of copper pedestal emerges in its place, which gets BOO's approval for the effort put into texturing, although he's not above cutting corners when they have a donkey race around the perimeter.
What took you so long?
Did you seriously? No, you did not. I cut through the middle, and you stayed.
I know you
not.
did. I turned around and saw you going up the stairs, so I went through the corner. You gonna do that?
Man,
Let's
I can't even cheat right.
B-Dubs crashes Corrales' video as well to help out with the banners, and wait a minute, this isn't what the flag of Poland looks like. The red and golden banners are of course part of Corrales' Renaissance fair of the season, and you really can't have that without a big tub where they stomp the grapes. In this case, it comes with a dedicated squeezery building. Pretty ambitious about the amount of wine they'll be making. It doesn't help that much of the stomping time got eaten up by Corrales painstakingly redecorating the grape yard with armor stands posed to look like grapevine wire. Thankfully, the mod for controlling them already has an H-posing preset, which is no longer a pose anyone here is able to assume.
And bam, it just becomes this, which I'm not sure this is the best way.
We've heard it through the grapevine, thanks to the corrections in the comments of last week's recap, that Impulse SV made a deal with Etho for a season's supply of frog lights, not beacons, which is actually pretty smart considering the profits from the bookshop have set him up with enough budget to buy beacons anyway. And because he can now use frog lights everywhere he wants, he puts them to good use in the staircase and decontamination chamber leading into his silo. He even had to rearrange part of his storage system to fit the staircase in. I mean, most people are fine with some storage space under the stairs, but most people haven't constructed a Mizuma Games auto sorter. The special effects are on display here, with the staircase lighting up as you walk down it, the vault door opening at the push of a button, but the wind charges and sound effects have to play in the airlock before the doors will open to the rest of the complex, which is getting even more complex soon because his farms are in danger of overflowing.
As you can tell by the sound of my voice, I'm actually pleasantly surprised I was able to figure this out on my first try. I'm not washed.
Speaking of overflowing, Joe Hills has installed the series of water dispensers he theory crafted last week to ensure the pier doesn't burn down in its entirety if someone swings by waving a flint and steel around.
Fire averted. Uh-oh, I'm a little worried about this. Woo! Fireproof! Maybe I don't need those other 96 dispensers I was about to put in.
It's clear why he needs to demonstrate his new fire suppression system when Good Times with Scar comes by to also demonstrate the new fire suppression system.
You can activate it, but don't actually burn anything down. We're not ready for the hot test, but we're ready for the cool test. And you're a cool guy. Woo!
Okay, that's pretty good.
And by the time he's successfully rigged up some observers to tell when the slabs start burning and turn the sprinklers on automatically, Cubfan has already set up a dispenser across the waterway and shot fire charges at Joe's theatre. He may not have the cameras and the action yet, but he definitely has the lights. Thanks to Zombie Cleo's Guardian farm, the studio facade is now decked out with sea lanterns which can illuminate the marquee banners outside, which should perhaps read, "Keep away from fire." More innovative gameplay comes with Good Times with Scar, who demonstrates a new way of walking without losing any saturation. He can't control which way he's going when pushed around by chickens like that, but that's beside the point. Entity cramming comes back to bite him actually, as some of the chickens make their way into the same hole in the ground that he left unlit previously. This way, whatever zombies spawn in that dark hole pick up whatever eggs the chickens have laid and cannot despawn due to holding an item. Naturally, when Scar falls into the cavity, that's egg on his face.
Not the children! I can't do children! Oh, there's a creeper! Oh my god! Oh god!
We're waiting!
Dude, there's so many kids!
We joke, but Scar does actually create his own redstone farm this week, prompted by Etho to recreate his moss farm design from the previous season. Evidently, the man's redstone is rather self-explanatory enough that Scar remakes the machine on his own without a block-by-block tutorial, and to the envy of BOO.
Is his farm yet, Etho? Is it manual still, or is it automatic?
Etho's shaking in his boots at how automatic mine is.
I actually don't want to be mean because I am proud of B-Dub's first farm.
As for why Scar needed 100,000 blocks of moss specifically, it may have something to do with the higher contrast moss and blackstone cliffside that he constructs over the natural terrain of his base, amping to jump the crevice and begin building the Empire counterpart to his rebel outpost. He'll understand better how to jump said crevice if he follows the instructive parkour course Etho set up nearby. Although the best method is still to get a donkey with a 6-block jump, splash yourself with jump boost, and shoot the donkey with a performance-enhancing slow-falling arrow. Despite trying to teach the server how to parkour successfully, Etho has heard comments that suggested speed and jump boost beacons might help people visit his base without falling to their deaths quite so much. So we see how he ended up selling beacons to the masses, which started with him warping down to a nether fortress from the nether roof, and being set on fire many times while slabbing the structure.
I decided not to slab that area because that Crimson Force is going to tank our rates regardless, and we just want to stay away from it.
The final Wither Skeleton farm is the result of some alternate methods of farming Wither Roses and a lot of off-camera setup, but now he can outsource the sales to the donkey in the shopping district. He's got time to return to his old storage setups and figures out new ways of building the bits he liked. Eventually, he time-lapses the latest version onto the server with the loose idea of having a happy gas train running through sections of the base for transport. In the meantime, those highly developed parkour skills will help you to mind the gap.
Our building very similar to that, where, you know, I'm just putting random platforms in the middle of nowhere and then we're going to connect it together later kind of thing.
Jevin gets to witness some remarkable public transit this week, though we'd better keep that one for the "and finally" segment. Nevertheless, boats are involved, so it's only appropriate Jevin participates. Speaking of, the good captain finishes up his vessel this week, having descended onto the lower decks and put them in order as a captain should. The ship is now ready for crewmates, complete with personal quarters and artillery space. And to prove that he's a worthy combatant, Jev even fights a Wither boss fair and square, which would be the only way in this game made of cubes.
Well, it got a little dicey there for a second, but you know what? Things went pretty good.
We must, however, not forget that he's not the only one on the server with a distinct persona, now that Tango Tech has received his customer Lytra in the mail and is officially a Dracula of some sort. Finally, we got an explanation for why his Minecraft skin has red eyes. It only took over 12 years. Yes, his bed is in the coffin and makes organ music when he sleeps in it. You'd think that would be rather counterproductive, but his hearing might just be gone anyway thanks to the Warden shenanigans, of which there are many. Yes, there are once again decked out 3 revelations, as Tango Tech, dead and loving it, assembles his guest stars from the Imp and Skiz podcast to help him transform an ancient city into a Warden acquisition town.
Is he on me?
Dimbles! Oh.
Is he on me?
No, you just skulked everywhere.
The reason he'll need a triple-digit amount of these monsters is that for Decked Out 3, Tango wants to introduce a fear mechanic that, among other things, will make the players receive a blindness effect, which in survival is best acquired by standing next to a warden, and even better not acquired at all.
He's coming up! He's coming up!
Either way, it's nice to get a confirmation that Decked Out 3, if not the whole of Hermitcraft, is a horror game. And it's only getting scarier now that Grian has made it his personal goal to assemble an end crystal production line. This means him and WARDENS have to first create a gold farm on the roof of the Nether, then hook the tail end of it into a piglin bartering system so that the resulting pile of materials can be auto-sorted until Gem can get her blackstone and Grian can walk away with the precious obsidian.
All of this was for a tiny bit of this particular rock.
The ghast farm he already put together during a live stream, so the tiers are covered, and that just leaves the glass and blaze rods to get manually, until there's a nuke's worth of end crystals crammed into a single block space in the middle of Grian's home cave. Luckily for the audience, end crystal explosions don't stack. But they still chain, and the guy has unlimited obsidian now, which is something to keep in mind for when someone decides to come around and wind charge him into the sky using airdropped rabbits.
Oh, is that what I hit? Was I supposed to go really far up?
You would have launched way up into the sky if you didn't hit the jet.
Oh, man.
Yes, Grian is now interested in making a rabbit farm. I wonder what that's all about. As for why WARDENS needs that blackstone, the answer appears to be at least 50 blocks long and around 30 blocks wide. We don't know how tall it is yet because Gem only reveals the footprint of her planned mega base, much to the chagrin of Joel, who just didn't account for a neighbor this ambitious. In revenge, he makes it a point to let everyone know that Gem's starter bridge was never actually attached to the ground.
Alright, and no angry darkness and sadness and emo, no My Chemical Romance playing on my side of the river.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
While she powers up her 1 million block building attack, Wells Knight jumps the line to the impressive build ride and spawns in his whole Japanese castle in a single episode. Obviously, this earns him a samurai Minecraft skin, though Wells Shogun feels like a little bit of a mouthful.
Huge thank you to Heliconian who made this for me. It looks fantastic.
It's a rather deceptive video, since when seeing the whole build wireframed midway through, you would assume he is not going to also fill it all in on the same week, but you would be wrong, because Wells is what our Japanese colleagues call an absolute mad lad, but in Japanese.
I don't even want to talk about how long this took, but it is done and I love it.
Then, to really make sure he has a grip on the server, Wells also builds the first fireworks rocket shop, prompting retaliation from the Donkey Dynasty. Zombie Cleo, meanwhile, has the resin market locked in now that they have a Cleo original farm for the stuff.
Have I been lied to? Should I have built this? Stop it! You're not funny.
Only with a few pointers from the more tree-savvy server mates, Cleo is able to figure out a solid enough design for the creaking slapping machine, which unlocks them a whole world of orange blocks to go with the teal of the Prismarine. This means they're ready to begin digging out that lost civilization they haven't built yet. And the first of the findings is of course their new storage room, auto-sorted by volunteer copper golems who aren't allowed to leave.
Yeah, prison cells. It is very much a prison cell.
It is then kind of funny that False Symmetry, by contrast, does her best to bury her storage, or at least most of it. Faced with the inadequacy of her wall of chests, False decides to build another one but hides it behind a solid wall. The assorted valuables are only revealed with a careful right-click of a hidden note block, while the chests themselves are labelled with armor stands, where item frames would not fit due to the whole movable wall rubbing against them.
That's pretty cool. They do fall down at a different speed, but I think that's because it's honey blocks and slime, so...
And of course, False uses her moss from her moss farm to build even more high-contrast blackstone and green moss terrain, because evidently she is much better at predicting Scar's videos than we are. And finally there's Mumbo, but also Rendog, and additionally Skizzleman. Because raiding a trial chamber wasn't enough for these three adrenaline junkies, so they team up to speedrun the whole dang thing.
I'm loving the most literal play-by-play I've ever heard in my life.
It's because I'm thinking a lot.
These hijinks were brought to you by Mumbo's personal promise to avoid using his elytra until he'd beaten the Ender Dragon, but the small print said nothing about not bringing friends with you. For the sheer nostalgia, they exile themselves a few thousand blocks away, but close enough that they can still find a stronghold, drop all their pre-existing equipment into an ender chest, and start the timer on their Team Any Percent attempt. The whole thing is worth watching for the entertainment value all three of them bring to the table, but our personal highlights are Rendog ending up in a village and realizing everyone there is Skizzleman.
This is a Skizzager village, by the way. It's extremely distracting.
Oh, yeah, I still have the pack on as well.
That one time Mumbo realized his keyboard shortcuts also quit the game, which we think makes this a tool-obstructed speedrun.
But what are you thinking, like, when we're in the end, so that we don't have to deal with
Skiz and the dragon both going while fighting each other. And everyone dying to intentional game design.
That did not go well. And now there's fire everywhere. You burned all your...
It's not really a spoiler to confirm they are successful. I mean, the dragon dying was in both Ren and Mumbo's thumbnails, but how successful they are? We'll let you decide. I think they sum it up perfectly by wanting to turn this into a tournament format with several other teams of 3, but also by wanting to never do this again.
I just want to be clear, despite how terribly we did, we still got sub 4 hours, which is hilarious.
Yes! And that's about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LaudividniYT, and my name is PixelRiffs. Captions on this video were provided by Liara. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here, and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.